Uh, yeah. Excited, ready to get going. I don't really have any prepared statements, but I know our team's chomping at the bit and looking forward to getting better today and tomorrow and Thursday, and we'll be ready for Friday.
I think I heard you on the radio yesterday. You were saying that a lot of guys aren't really built all the way up yet, starting pitching wise. So could you potentially use kind of any of those guys that are in that starting pitching mix this weekend? All of them?
For sure, yeah. So the format of college baseball, with only a few weeks of ramp time, when you open the season the same week as Valentine's Day, it just doesn't lend itself to pitchers being built up, and so it just creates a situation where you're fortunate if you have depth and can use a lot of pitching opening weekend, and we are fortunate to be in that situation where we do have a lot of depth, so it's a benefit for us to get to use a lot of guys. But we absolutely, unequivocally, 100% will not overextend anyone this weekend. We will keep guys on a strict pitch count. As part of that proposal years ago to move the season back, and I still stand by that proposal to get the college baseball season out of February. I don't know how far back it goes in March, but I think college baseball should start in March. The fact that college baseball gets less ramp time than professional baseball just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But nonetheless, everybody starts, this is opening weekend, so it's an exciting time, so not taken away from the excitement of opening day, and we'll be ready to go, whether we play, and doesn't matter when we play, doesn't matter where we play, we'll be ready to go. So I'm excited for our guys. I know they're ready to rock and roll and get after it and play another jersey, so this will be a lot of fun this weekend.
I guess, would you rather there be less games, or do you want the season to go deeper into June?
I don't think anyone would want less games. I think there's a way to find that balance of still feeling like you're playing a full season, even if the season did have an extension to it. You probably can't push the season back a month, but I think there's a way to push the season back a couple of weeks. And it's not even the weather. I mean, in Michigan, we didn't complain about the weather. The weather's the weather, but it's basketball season. And, we've got a lot of great Clemson fans, and I hope we have an awesome crowd here opening day. But I think the more you can separate basketball and baseball season, the better it is for our sport. And then you do have half the country that's spending a lot of money to travel these next few weeks. And so it would certainly help their bottom lines financially if they didn't have to do that. So there's a lot of benefits to it, but I don't want that to be the storyline. We're excited about our team and ready to get going.
Coach, Will Taylor, from your perspective, just what makes him stand out from other players?
Just the person he is, the family he was brought up in. I mean, how many college athletes would give up a scholarship this day and age, where it feels more like the opposite? It feels like it's more about, what kind of deal can I get, and what's the stuff that is going to be provided. And this is a family that willingly gave up a full ride in football to be on no scholarship in baseball, playing the long game, knowing it was the best decision for his future. He's got a very bright future and a long career playing baseball, but you still just don't see many kids and many families willing to do that. So I think that's a big part of it. It's just the person that he is and the family that he was raised in, as well as the decision to not specialize in a sport at a young age. We don't have enough time today to talk about how anti-early sports specialization I am personally, but I do think it's absolutely ridiculous that kids at a young age pick one sport, especially at young ages of 12 and 13 and 14. And the first time Will Taylor specialized in baseball was 21 years old this past fall. And I know he's an outlier and he's unique, and not everybody's like that. And most everybody specializes at some point in high school, and that's fine. But Will Taylor is the player he is because he's the athlete that he is, and he was an athlete first, a wrestler, a football player, a baseball player, a total athlete, and that's allowed him to use that natural athleticism, explosiveness, the twitchiness of his body to be a great baseball player.
We're 3 days out from opening day. What questions do you still need to have answered?
I think for us is, we kind of have a really good idea about who our top 14 hitters are, who our top 12 or 13 pitchers are. And I think it's not that we're trying to identify roles in 3 days. The roles are going to evolve and transform and be fluid throughout the course of the first few weeks, if not the first couple months. So I think it's just more understanding that we're not in any kind of a rush to say, this is our Friday guy, this is our Saturday guy, this is our shortstop. Like, we're going to play a lot of guys, we're going to pitch a lot of guys, and we have the luxury, and it is a luxury item, to have the depth that we have, both on the mound and positionally. So we're gonna want to see that, and we're gonna want to give guys opportunities and see guys in different roles and see them in different spots. And much like last year, where it maybe took us a little bit longer to figure out who goes where, I don't think it'll take us quite that time, but I am excited to see us get knocked down and face some adversity. Hopefully we don't have to learn those lessons through a loss, but I do want to see us struggle, and I do want to see how our guys respond to those moments of adversity that are inevitably going to come.
Cam Canarella has a lot of postseason accolades. What makes him a special player, and what are your expectations for this season?
Yeah, so one of the things that makes Cam special is he's not going into the season thinking about the preseason or the postseason accolades. And he didn't get the postseason accolades last year thinking about the postseason accolades. He thought about competing. And so when you think about Cam Canarella, you have to think about the word compete, because that's one thing he does really, really well. And he does it while having a slow heartbeat and a still mind in the batter's box. And so he's this fiery competitor on one side, but he's able to control his emotions while he's competing in the box, which makes him a very special player. So I know he's got the target on growth, on improvement, on competing, on being better than compared to what his personal best is. And then all the awards and the accolades and the stuff will take care of itself. But that's where I think you see some sophomores get in trouble, when they're trying to recreate or duplicate or put the target on things they can't control. And you got to remember what made you successful in the first place, and you weren't thinking about that kind of stuff going into the season. You were thinking about earning a spot, winning a spot, competing, giving it your best effort, all that stuff.
So Jimmy Overtop, have you figured out if it's a catcher first and then maybe a little first base, or first base first, or catching? Like, what's the balance?
Yes. Yeah. He's going to do both. He's going to catch and he's going to play first. He's just not going to do both at the same time. So Jacob Jarrell is just too good of a catcher. He's going to be back there quite a bit. And when Jacob Jarrell's back there, Jimmy Overtop's going to be in the lineup somewhere, whether it's first base or DH. And when Jimmy Overtop's catching, Jacob Jarrell's going to be in the lineup, probably as DH. So those two guys have just proven themselves and their ability to hit and hit for power, where it looks like as of today that they both need to be in the lineup as often as possible.
I know you said you don't have Friday, Saturday, Sunday starters set in stone now. I'm just wondering which pitchers have stood out heading into the season, if you could just name a couple.
Sure. Yeah, there's probably 6 guys that are all in contention to start, that will start at some point this season, whether it's on the weekend or midweek or spot start. So the easy look is Austin Gordon. He started every game last year and was a Team USA invitee, so he's obviously very accomplished. Now his pitch count is actually less than other people's, so that's going to factor into our decision making of where he fits into which starting rotation spot. But he's a no-brainer to be one of our starting pitchers somewhere. Tristan Smith has made huge strides, had a great summer, Cape Cod All-Star. He's made a jump. Ethan Darden was obviously a starter for us last year, pitched on Fridays for us. Joe Allen and Rocco Reed both have made starts in our program. And then bringing in Matt Marshall from Wofford. He's got more career starts than anyone in our program. So he's very accomplished, consistent strike thrower, and he gives you a lot of comfort, just security, knowing you're going to get strikes. So I think that has a role, that has a big role. Billy Barlow has made a huge jump and poised to have a breakout campaign. And then we have a couple of freshmen that are really pushing for big-time roles. Aiden Connaught comes to mind. He's the guy that I think the guys on the team would say is one of the toughest pitchers to face on our team. And then you've got a couple of other guys, Justin McGurnick and Drew Pittsworth behind him. So all those guys are candidates. And then where we feel really good is the back end. Having four guys who have been there, done that in high leverage relief roles on the back end with Nick Clayton, Rob Hughes, Reed Garris, and the transfer from Wofford as well, Lucas Malstad. So we feel good going into it. It'll be nice to be able to give guys opportunities and not have to overextend them early and have a lot of options. So we're framing that as this is a strength of ours early in the year when the season's starting in mid-February, that even though guys aren't built up, we've got a lot of guys that aren't built up, so it gives us a lot of innings to cover. So that's good. But I think it's kind of we're excited to see how it looks when we are competing against another team. So you're getting all these things that we haven't had up to this point. The fans and the stage and the lights and the stakes, and it's the season. So how will we respond to that? How will we respond to the perceived expectations? A little bit different than last year where we had no expectations, and now we have high expectations. So it's all a good recipe for creating an identity as the season goes. And that's, I think, what our coaching staff is really looking forward to, is to seeing the identity of Team 127 take shape. And if we just continue to keep our fundamental goal on just keep getting better, be the best team at getting better, be the number one ranked team at getting better, then we know all the stuff that's going to happen in June is going to take care of itself in June.
You mentioned Matthew Marshall. He had a great season for Wofford last year. What stands out about him as a pitcher?
Strikes. It's a relentless attack on the strikes. So, where think about all the pitchers, in like not Marshall is Greg Maddux, but you just think of a guy that, if he wanted to rear back and throw harder, he could, but pinpoint command really plays. Being able to throw multiple pitches for strikes really plays. Getting hitters to 2 strikes quickly really plays. Keeping the defense engaged because they're getting a lot of action really plays. And so he has the ability. He doesn't have Greg Maddux command, but it's really good command. It's as good a command as anyone we have on our staff. And being able to keep the defense into it is going to help the defense. It's not fun to play behind guys who 3-ball counts all the time and walking people. And so I think when he's out there is that security of knowing that there's going to be some pace and tempo to the game. It's going to, things, whatever happens, whether he gives up hits or whatever, he's at least going to make the hitters earn it.
Talk about Gordon being the least built up. I guess why is he there? And then are there any pitchers that are the most built up? I guess at this point that could actually go a few more innings.
Yeah, you'd have to kind of trace it back. So, Gordo last year took the ball every game, played summer ball, played fall ball, and just kind of got to that point. You saw it in the Coastal game, his stuff, just his body was just tired. It was time to give him a break, And I'm a firm believer that pitchers should not throw the ball 12 months out of the year. And you got to put the ball down sometimes. And so for him, the time to put the ball down was, somewhere in October, November, December. And so as he then puts the ball down and gives his arms some time to recover, the ramp up back time is a little bit longer and slower than a guy like Billy Barlow, who got injured last year, had some shoulder issues, didn't play summer ball, and was able to start his ramp up earlier. So it all depends on, you'd have to almost look at the previous 12 months and just see when did they have their windows of rest, when were they able to start their ramp for the season. But I think after seeing all the injuries we had to our pitching staff last year and what that did to us the first 31 games of the season, I think we're definitely going to err on the side of take it slow with a lot of these guys rather than try to go through that.
Got time for one or two more.
Coach, not sure if you answered this already, but the South Carolina series isn't too far away. What is it like to be a part of that series and both of the teams be, so good at the same time?
Yeah, it's great for the state of South Carolina when Clemson and South Carolina are both awesome in baseball. And so, I hope it is top 10 matchup. I think that's great for our sport. It's the best rivalry in college baseball, in my opinion. Our approach to that rivalry here is we will respect that rivalry at the highest level every single day. We don't just get to the South Carolina week and start talking about South Carolina that week. We have things built into our program all year long to respect that rivalry, part of our shared language, things that we do here. So we respect that rivalry to the highest level, as high as you can respect the rivalry. But in my opinion, it's the best rivalry in college baseball. You think about some of the great rivalries out there, Army-Navy, Michigan-Ohio State, then you've got Clemson and South Carolina in baseball, which just, to me, is number one.
Anything else?
As far as Canuck, what is it about his stuff? Is it movement? Is it speed? Like what makes him
Yeah,
stand
so
out?
there's different types of movement, and he throws hard, but you think of movement, you think left or right. There's sink, which everyone knows, but then there's induced vertical break, where the ball really fights gravity, and hitter will swing at a ball thinking it's going to naturally drop here, and the ball fights gravity and stays on the same plane, and he can do that really, really well. So he gets contact underneath the ball, and he's got a really good changeup to go with it, and a good breaking ball to go with it. So, he's a freshman, so we're not trying to, put too much on his shoulders. It'd be nice to actually bring him along slowly. But we feel really good and really optimistic about not only the caliber of pitcher he is right now, but the pitcher that he's gonna be for Clemson in the years to come. I mean, he's got an extremely bright future, and he's a very, very hard worker, an old soul. He's always working on his craft. He does not show the signs of immaturity you would see maybe out of freshmen in their freshman years. They're learning and growing and figuring out the system. He's kind of got in here, and he's just been very methodical about his routine and been very disciplined to a routine, which that usually takes a while to build for a freshman to understand the importance of a consistent routine, but he's walked in here with that. So he's ahead of schedule because of it.
Thank you, Coach.